Hello, I'm Richard Devaney from the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College. Welcome to a video series of interviews that I conducted with senior executives from many different industries. The series is called Strategic Insights, and the goal is to help you to understand what great CEOs are thinking about as the critical issues of today. Thank you, John, for being here with us at the Tuck School. You have a concept called conscious capitalism. Could you summarize what that means?
Conscious capitalism is based on four basic principles. Principle number one is that every business has the potential to have a higher purpose that may include maximizing profits, but is not limited to it. So the first principle is that entrepreneurs create businesses usually for a multitude of reasons, and businesses generally were created with some type of purpose in mind besides just making money. So that's principle number one. Principle number two is that it's better to manage the business not to maximize shareholder value as the primary goal. There's nothing wrong with making money. In fact, that's essential to business. But it views the business as an interdependent network of stakeholders: customers, employees, suppliers, investors, communities, and environment. And then there are other stakeholders that potentially have to be taken into account as well: government, activists, unions, etc. And the theory here is that in conscious capitalism is that you try to manage the business to create value simultaneously for all of the primary stakeholders. So that's principle number two. Principle number three is that the leadership in the conscious business should be leadership that is not attempting to maximize their own personal interest, that they should serve the enterprise and the company and the business that they are leading, that should be their primary goal, is to fulfill the purpose of the business and to serve the stakeholders. So it's the conscious leader is a bit more of a servant leader to the enterprise. And the fourth principle is that you have to create a culture that of structures and strategies and processes that allow the enterprise to fulfill its purpose, to create value for stakeholders, and to support the leadership's service to the enterprise. So that's it. That's conscious capitalism in a nutshell.
Your general idea is that you can help all of society, including your employees and your community and shareholders simultaneously, and make it a win-win-win kind of arrangement. Why is it that you believe that? Isn't it a choice?
If you look for trade-offs, you certainly can find them because, of course, they're there. But if you look for synergies, if you look for a harmony of interest, you can find that as well. So the conscious business is looking for the win-win-win strategies. If you look for those, you'll find them. If you look for trade-offs, you find them as well. The most beautiful thing about capitalism is that it's so hard for people to understand is that it is a win-win-win-win game. When we're children, we come to believe that there must be if there's a winner, there must be a loser. And everything I've learned about business is that that's not the case. That you can be creating business through voluntary exchange with these stakeholders where customers are benefiting, employees are benefiting, suppliers are benefiting, investors are benefiting, and the larger community is benefiting. Everyone's benefiting from those voluntary exchanges. So you can simultaneously create value for all of these interdependent stakeholders. I've been doing it for over 30 years.
You mentioned a very interesting word to me, and that's the word harmony. It sounds very Eastern in its vision. Do you draw on Eastern philosophy for the way you think about having a win-win-win-win and creating harmony within society rather than the trade-offs?
There's a long Western tradition of that as well. I mean, Adam Smith's original vision when he wrote Wealth of Nations was that there was a harmony of interest. And unfortunately, Smith was way ahead of his time, and people didn't bother to read his theory of moral sentiments, and they didn't really understand the Wealth of Nations either. And so they ended up focusing. We went into, pretty soon after Smith, we got into Darwinian biology and survival of the fittest, and we had Marxist class conflicts, and those became to dominate the narrative. But Smith's vision originally was a harmony of interest. And yes, of course, there's Eastern traditions that support that as well, and I am familiar with that. I've studied Eastern thought. But I think there's a strong Western tradition there as well.
You mentioned that you've been doing it for 30 years. Can you give us some examples of how you've done it with Whole Foods?
One of the foundations that our company has called the Whole Planet Foundation, which it's a microcredit lending institution. We've been doing it for 6 years. We've made 250,000 loans that have impacted now about 1 million people. Average loan size about $200. But it's improved the lives now of about 1 million people. Now, that's a great example of all the stakeholders winning. And one of the narratives out there is that if you're giving money this way, it must be theft. You're stealing the money that could be paid out to shareholders in additional dividends, or it could pay out to employees in higher wages, or lower prices for customers. So it's seen as, again, a trade-off model. But let's look at the Whole Planet Foundation and how the stakeholders all benefit from it. Number one, our customers support it. We do prosperity campaigns once a year for a 6-week period, and we raise millions of dollars every year voluntarily from our customers to support it. Of course, we're marketing it in our stores. They get excited about it. We show the progress that's being made. And of course, these are not gifts, these are loans, and the money gets recycled back into the communities where the loans happen. So the customers get excited about it. They're winning. They're voluntarily participating. Our team members, there's nothing the company's ever done that's got our team members more excited than the Whole Planet Foundation. We set up a volunteer program where our team members can go over to these different communities and do volunteer work in Guatemala, Costa Rica, Kenya, India, and it transforms their lives. The team members are very, very excited about it. It creates goodwill with them. Our suppliers support it. We have a suppliers alliance where the suppliers are also channeling money to these microcredit loans, and we call those suppliers out in our stores. We favor their products and placement and make the whole planet connection for our customers in our stores. So the suppliers are winning. And how are the investors winning? They're winning because we've had massive amounts of good public relations from this. Massive amounts of articles have been written that have helped improve the Whole Foods brand. So this is creating value for our customers, for our team members, for our suppliers, and for our investors. And arguably, therefore, for the greater community as well. That's a win-win-win-win strategy.
How do you do it in the everyday operations of the whole food operations? The things that you do every day, as opposed to just the foundation. How do you do it in the store?
Retailers in general understand something better than many other types of businesses understand. We understand how important the customers are because they vote every time they come into your store. Or if they don't come into their store, they're voting as well. So they vote with their pocketbooks and they express their preferences, and they ultimately are your best form of marketing as well. Through satisfied customers, they talk to other people and create more business for you. So we teach our team members that their most important goal is to satisfy and delight our customers. And we train them and we empower them to do that. So management's job is to hire the very best people we can, train them well, and make sure they're fulfilled in their work, that they're happy. Because we believe that happy team members will result in happy customers, and happy customers will result in happy investors. Same thing when we deal with our suppliers. We are looking towards the long-term relationship. We're not trying to maximize a short-term extraction from our suppliers. We're asking, we need our suppliers to flourish as well, because as they flourish, they will innovate, create new products that will help differentiate us in the marketplace, and it gives us competitive advantage. So we view each of these major stakeholder groups as someone that we want to see them flourish because we know that will help our company to flourish. And so they're all interdependent, they're all connected together, and you manage the business in terms of the system as opposed to simply trying to maximize profits. The good leader, the conscious leader, sees the interdependency, sees the relationships between the stakeholders, and sees that there are these complex feedback loops. And so you manage the business in such a way that it will ultimately create the most long-term shareholder value, which is indirectly the result of creating the most value for your customers and the most value for your employees and the most value for your suppliers. And by doing that, you will also create the most value for your shareholders.